they want you to think the Earth looks like this. And they want you to think that quote-unquote flat earthers think that it looks like this, which looks even more insane. Before the first full picture of the Earth from space, Hollywood, or Hollywood's own Universal Pictures, somehow knew what the globe would look like in 1925. You might say it was a rendering of what they assumed the Earth to look like, and I think that's fair. But even so, it's still debatable whether or not there are any actual full photos of the Earth from space to this day. Don't believe me? These are official NASA-released photos of the Earth. Some of them are duplicate images released on different years with mild color variations. Notice the clouds. They can't even get the sizes of continents right. Different countries with space programs across the Earth seem to see the globe differently than us for whatever reason, which is kind of strange to me. According to this evidence, this proves without a shadow of a doubt in my mind that these are not true full photographs of the Earth from space. These are composite images, so they take in multiple images and compiled them into one full image. They are graphics created in Photoshop. In fact, NASA even admits to doing as much. But there must be a photo, right? Well, this may surprise you, but this is debatable. Yes, there are some images that are unaltered. However, not many, and some of the ones that are unaltered photos are, in my estimation, a trick of the eye. Like this one, for instance, shown in the documentary A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. This is from Apollo 11, which is provably taken in low Earth orbit through a round capsule window using specific exposure settings to darken the inside of the capsule and give the Earth its apparent shape. In other words, it's fake. They're lying. So even if there is a good case to be made that these are true photographs, I'm still skeptical whether or not they are truly photos taken from outer space, if you know what I mean. And I think I should be skeptical based on the evidence. I mean, NASA is not exactly forthcoming when it comes to the images that they release. Take this one, for example. This is the first official spacewalk, if you didn't know. Does that look real to you? Now be honest. These ones are taken with fisheye lenses in low Earth quote-unquote orbit to manufacture Earth's apparent curvature. Space programs have been using fisheye lenses since their founding. If NASA is truly in space, then shouldn't we have thousands of photos by now? Are these 6 photos the only ones we have? And where are the stars? And why aren't there any unedited photos between the year 1972 and 2014? They didn't take any photos for 42 years from outer space of the Earth? Or perhaps, which is my opinion, they just didn't have the tech to make it well enough. It's easy to fake something blurry, isn't it? But with the development of technology, photographs were no longer blurry, which makes it easy to spot inconsistencies, which is probably why there's no stars. That's my take. But NASA, if you're up there, please start taking photos of the Earth from space. They don't even need to be great photos. We just need enough that we can be sure by comparing photos with one another and make sure that they're not fake. We're looking for inconsistencies and stuff like that. But I don't think you're going to do that. You'd rather release images like this, the pale blue dot. Well, if you see that little dot in that beam right there, ooh, that's the Earth. Why there are no other stars in the sky, I couldn't tell you. And through the rings of Saturn, there's the Earth. So blurry, but it's so good. It's a complete joke. If you're in outer space, take photos of the Earth. I'd expect some quality from an agency who receives an annual budget of $25.4 billion they get from taxpayers in the United States. That's $70 million a day. And you can't take any photographs of the Earth from space? If you can send a rover to Mars, you can certainly take a photo of the Earth, but the truth is you can't do either, can you? But I digress. I was having trouble figuring out how to introduce this topic, and we're going to get into it, I promise. But I know one thing. None of this matters unless the initial question is addressed. And I know what that question is because I used to ask it. Why would they lie? Why would they do that? But do you really want to know why? It isn't pleasant to consider why they would lie about the shape of the Earth. It's even harder to accept it. But like Aristotle once said, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So, do you have the mind able to entertain the thought? My goal, just a little disclosure here, my goal is to show you the facts and try to ask good questions. That's it. I do not have all the answers, and I do not have to revert to sophistry to persuade anyone of anything. I don't feel the need to do that in the slightest. It's up to you. I'm going to do my best to share the counter arguments throughout the video, and I'll tag this website, flatearth.ws. This is, a compilement of all the debunking of the flat earth stuff. If you want to go there and see the counter arguments for yourself, I am hoping to do a series of videos debunking the debunkers in the future, hopefully. But for now, let's get rolling. All right. With all that out of the way, if you want to entertain the thought, let's do it. Or if you want, you can stop watching and you can choose to trust the science.
So it's easy to criticize, but they're really criticizing science because I represent science.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
The Senate will decide your fate.
I am the Senate.
Let's entertain the question, shall we? Why would they lie? Well, if $70 million a day of our tax money isn't enough motive for them, there are plenty of other motives, believe it or not. Assuming you're at all familiar with history and the governments of the world, generally speaking, and yes, NASA is a government agency, in case you were wondering. Let's take communism, for example. Really, any totalitarian government insists on a godless society because where there is no God, government is God. God doesn't provide, the government provides. God doesn't protect, government protects. God doesn't teach you right and wrong, government does that too. They teach you science, language, geology, geography, and yes, astronomy. I'm sure at this point you wouldn't believe me if I said the globe as an idea is to insist that God does not exist and that the Big Bang theory that they say happened 13.8 billion years ago propagates the insistence that God does not exist. And from those roots comes the evolution, theoretical science, general relativity, and so on, the non-observable, non-repeatable mathematical scientisms. So why the lie? Well, complete control, to be frank. Over you, over your children, that is the motive. They want you to think the earth looks like this. Godless, alone, in darkness, orbiting around their god, Helios. And they want you to think that quote-unquote flat earthers think that it looks like this, which looks even more insane. The first one looked insane. This one looks more insane. But that's what liars do, don't they? They redirect your attention elsewhere. Notice, however, even this image is godless. Now, go with me here if you would say you have the mark of an educated mind. Let's entertain this idea. If the earth looks something more like this, would that prove there to be a creator? And would you believe me if I showed you this is what the Bible teaches, and this is what every culture across the earth believed for thousands of years? Of course, this is also just a rendering, but it's based on biblical descriptions and observations. It has to be a rendering because we can't go past the firmament into quote-unquote outer space to take a photo of the flat earth. But neither can NASA, and that's why NASA's images are also just renderings. I hope that makes enough sense to get started. If you're still with me, let's entertain some thought, shall we?